The very first day after you disappear, her mind is flooded with questions, even if she doesn't show it on the outside. At first, it's not about missing you deeply. It's about confusion. She's used to your presence, to your attention, to that steady flow of energy you were giving her. When that suddenly stops, it disrupts her rhythm. She wonders if something happened, if you're upset with her, or if you just got busy. In that moment, her brain is searching for an answer to fill the silence. And that unanswered question creates the first spark of curiosity. Now, understand this. Women are emotional creatures, and emotions thrive on patterns. When she was hearing from you regularly, that became her pattern. You disappearing breaks that cycle, and the human mind naturally tries to restore balance. That's why she starts thinking, why hasn't he texted? Why hasn't he called? Did I say something wrong? That curiosity is powerful because it plants you in her thoughts without you lifting a finger. What's interesting is that her ego also tries to protect her. She might tell herself she doesn't care, that she's fine without hearing from you. But the more she repeats that to herself, the more obvious it becomes that she does notice your absence. Even if she pretends on the surface, that confusion lingers. And it's that silent battle between curiosity and ego that makes day one so important. For you, the key is to stay grounded and resist the urge to break the silence just to ease her confusion. That's what most men do. They cave in too quickly and destroy the tension that was building in her mind. By holding your frame and staying quiet, you allow her to sit with that curiosity. She starts replaying your last interactions, looking for clues. She checks her phone more often than she admits. She might even glance at your social media, searching for signs of what you're doing. That first day sets the tone. You don't need to do anything. The silence itself is doing the work for you. By simply disappearing, you've created a shift in her focus, and now you've taken space in her thoughts. That's exactly where you want to be. By the second day, something shifts inside her. The initial curiosity she felt on day one begins to grow into a subtle sense of unease. At first, she might have convinced herself that you were just busy, that it was nothing personal. But now the silence feels different. She starts noticing the gap your absence creates. Her mind begins to play scenarios, and she starts asking herself questions like, why hasn't he reached out yet? Is he losing interest? Has he moved on? These thoughts don't come from a place of logic. They come from her emotions, trying to make sense of the void. This is when women often try to test themselves. She might deliberately avoid messaging you to see if you'll break the silence first. It's a quiet battle of patience where her ego says, don't text him first. But her emotions whisper, what if he's already forgetting me? That conflict builds tension, and whether she admits it or not, you're occupying more mental space than you did when you were constantly present. She might even start paying closer attention to how she appears to you even if you're not around. Maybe she posts something online subtly designed to catch your eye, or she checks if you've seen her story. These little actions are her way of regaining some control, but deep down, they're signs that she's already missing your energy. Silence has a way of amplifying emotions, and by day 2, she begins to realize just how much your presence mattered to her. Most men would ruin this moment by rushing back in, thinking they're at risk of losing her, but in reality, the opposite is happening. Your absence is making her more aware of the connection she had with you. It's not about playing games. It's about allowing her to feel the weight of your silence. By doing nothing, you're showing strength, self-respect, and discipline. You're teaching her that your world doesn't revolve around her. And that alone builds value in her eyes. Day 2 is where curiosity starts turning into longing. And longing is what makes her truly begin to miss you. By the 3rd day, the silence begins to carry even more weight. What started as curiosity on the 1st day and shifted into unease on the 2nd now evolves into overthinking. She begins to analyze everything about your recent interactions, your last conversation, the way you said things, even small details she might not have cared about before. Her mind starts connecting dots that don't exist because she's trying to create a reason for your absence. This is when women often replay old moments in their head, searching for answers to questions they can't ask you directly. The third day is also when her emotions and her ego clash the hardest. On one hand, she wants to maintain her pride, telling herself if he wanted to talk, he would. On the other hand, she feels the pull of missing your attention, your presence, and the security she once felt knowing you were there. This creates frustration inside her, and that frustration often shows up in subtle ways. She might text her friends about you looking for validation, or she might go out of her way to distract herself. But no matter what she does, you still occupy her thoughts. The absence now becomes noticeable not just as silence, but as a shift in her daily routine. If she's used to hearing from you regularly, the lack of communication feels like a missing piece of her day. And instead of filling that void easily, it lingers because she doesn't know what you're thinking. This uncertainty makes her wonder if she's losing her grip on the connection. And that's exactly what stirs deeper emotion. By this stage, she may also consider reaching out, but hold herself back, fearing rejection or the possibility of looking too eager. That hesitation adds to her internal struggle because she knows the longer she waits, the more she risks you pulling away completely. This mental tug-of-war intensifies her desire for your attention, and even though she might act like she's fine on the outside, inside she's becoming more restless. The third day is crucial because it's when your absence stops being a coincidence and starts becoming a statement. That's when she begins to feel the reality of what it means not to have your presence, and that reality makes her want it back even more. By the fourth day, the weight of your absence becomes undeniable, and this is when her emotions truly start to intensify. What might have felt like a minor curiosity in the first day and a restless confusion by the third has now transformed into a deeper concern. She starts to ask herself bigger questions, not just about why you disappeared, but about what that disappearance says about her place in your life. This is where the silence really begins to echo because she can no longer chalk it up to coincidence or busyness. 4 days without you is enough time to make her realize something has shifted. At this point, her thoughts may swing between two extremes. On one side, she might feel anger, telling herself you don't care, that you've moved on, or that she was never as important to you as she thought. On the other side, she might feel sadness and longing because now the absence feels like a void she cannot easily ignore. This emotional swing creates tension within her, and she may not even know how to express it. Instead, it comes out in indirect ways. Maybe she posts something online that subtly hints at her feelings, or she starts talking about you to her friends more often, hoping they can provide clarity she can't find on her own. Day 4 also marks the beginning of comparisons. She might compare how you treated her before with the silence now. She may even start to compare herself with other women, wondering if you're giving your time or attention to someone else. This is where insecurity starts creeping in. And that insecurity is powerful because it makes her crave your validation even more. It's not just about missing you anymore. It's about wanting to confirm she still holds a place in your world. At the same time, the respect she has for you begins to grow subconsciously, even if she doesn't admit it, because you've stepped back. You've shown her that you're not dependent on her for your happiness, and that makes her look at you differently. She might not like it in the moment, but deep down, she understands the strength it takes for a man to maintain space and composure. The fourth day is when missing you transforms into an undeniable emotional struggle, and that struggle keeps pulling her back to thoughts of you, whether she wants it or not. By the fifth day, the emotions she has been wrestling with start to solidify into something more concrete. The uncertainty that filled her thoughts before now begins to feel heavier, almost like an emotional burden she can't shake off. At this point, she has likely gone from asking herself why you disappeared to asking herself what she did wrong. This is an important shift because it shows that your absence has moved from being about you to being about her. She begins to internalize it, questioning her own actions, her value, and her role in your silence. This self-questioning is powerful because it makes her analyze every little detail of your last interactions. She replays your words, your tone, your expressions, and even the smallest gestures, trying to figure out if she missed a sign that you were pulling away. This overthinking consumes her more than she realizes, and the silence grows louder with every passing hour. Instead of moving on or distracting herself, she feels stuck because her mind keeps circling back to you. By this stage, she may also begin to feel a deeper sense of longing. What was once irritation or confusion now becomes a genuine ache for your presence. Even if she tries to distract herself with friends, work, or social media, there's always that thought of you running in the background. She might check her phone more often, hoping to see a message from you, or she might scroll through old conversations, remembering how things used to be when you were actively in her life. The more she remembers, the stronger the emotional pull becomes. Day 5 also pushes her toward a decision point. She may feel the urge to reach out to you, even if it's just something small or indirect. It could be a casual text, a reaction to something you posted, or even a comment meant to test whether you'll respond. This is because the tension between wanting to maintain her pride and wanting to reconnect with you becomes almost unbearable. Your absence has become the dominant factor shaping her emotions, and she can no longer ignore how much she feels it. By the 5th day, your silence is no longer just an absence, it has become presence in itself, constantly reminding her of you, and that's when she starts realizing how much space you still occupy in her thoughts. By the 6th day, her emotions reach a breaking point where missing you becomes undeniable. What started as mild curiosity or irritation earlier in the week has now grown into something far deeper, an emotional pull that she can't easily silence. Your absence has carved out a space in her mind, and every time she tries to fill it with distractions, it only reminds her more of what's missing. This is when she starts realizing how much your presence meant, because now the contrast of your silence feels impossible to ignore. Her thoughts begin to balance between regret and desire. She might replay memories with a different perspective, appreciating the little things you did that she may have overlooked before. The longer she goes without hearing from you, the more she starts to idealize what you two shared. Instead of focusing on small disagreements or flaws, her memory now highlights the moments of closeness, comfort, and laughter. This shift in perspective is powerful because it makes her attach positive emotions to you more strongly than before. At the same time, there's a growing sense of vulnerability within her. By the 6th day, she isn't just wondering where you went, she's feeling the emptiness your absence leaves. This can trigger both longing and frustration. On one hand, she may feel a strong desire to reach out, to break the silence, just to see if you'll respond. On the other hand, her pride or fear of rejection may hold her back, creating an emotional tug-of-war. Regardless of which side wins, the fact that she's wrestling with these feelings shows how deeply you're still on her mind. This stage is also when her emotions turn into genuine missing. It's no longer just curiosity about your actions. It's an emotional craving for the connection she had with you. She may find herself daydreaming about what it would be like if you suddenly texted, called, or showed up. She might even imagine scenarios of reconnection, because the silence has now stretched long enough for her heart to start filling in the gaps with hope and desire. By the 6th day, Your disappearance has done something powerful. It has turned absence into attraction and silence into significance, leaving her with the undeniable realization that she misses you.